Hello and welcome to Power to the People with me, Graeme Pryce. While we've all been watching the happenings across the world's biggest puddle, KEMI has been putting together her brand spanking new cabinet. I would make a joke about IKEA, but her cabinet's already full of jokes, so I don't think I really have to, do I? I suppose we have to be quite lenient on her, though. If you're told to choose 6 of the best eggs from a basket and you find that every one is rotten and stinking, then you're going to end up with half a dozen stinkers, aren't you? I thought I'd just run through a few of her choices with you and give you my very quick opinion on them. And I don't think you'll be too surprised to hear that I'm not exactly enthused. Right after this. Alright mate, sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to remind you to check if you're subscribed and if you've rang the bell. Leave a comment and let me know what you think, if you agree with me or not. Or if you think I'm a complete bellend. I don't really mind. It all helps with the algorithms and pleases the gods of YouTube. Plus, it's very, very much appreciated. Cheers, la. Mel Stride. Yeah, that guy. He is now the Shadow Chancellor of the Exchequer. Now, he's a bit of a dark horse, is Mel Stride, because he's held some really important cabinet positions in the past, and he was shit at all of them. But you don't really hear much about him. He's probably most famous for being a sycophant to Rishi Sunak. He did the morning rounds quite a lot before the election was actually announced, but he seemed to shut up once the campaign began. Or maybe he was told to shut up. Maybe he knew he'd be lucky to keep his seat, which he did, unfortunately. I don't know much about his math skills, but I know that he's got about as much charisma as a sack of King Eddies. Dame Priti Patel has been made Shadow Foreign Secretary. A woman whose face should be cast in plaster, preserved for posterity, and set as the standard bearer for all time for how to look arrogant, smug, conceited, contemptuous, and disgusted all at once. The woman looks at the whole world as if it's just farted in her favourite teacup, doesn't she? She's already been sacked from one cabinet when she was International Development Secretary for holding unauthorised meetings with Israeli officials. So, absolutely perfect for a role as Shadow Foreign Secretary, while Israel is literally committing war crimes as we speak, obviously. The Shadow Home Secretary is Chris Philp. Now, I've never made a video about him, and I don't know a huge amount about him. I know that he's a mad Brexit knobhead, though, and he was one of the ones that supported Badenoch in the 2022 leadership nonsense. So he is loyal to her, at least. Or maybe she's got some info on him that makes him useful to her. Who knows? But he interviews very badly, and he always looks so insincere. He looks like the top half of his face is surprised to hear what's coming out of the bottom half of his face. James Carselidge, MP for South Suffolk, is remaining in his post as Shadow Defence Secretary. It's apparently been said that he's been doing a very good job in the position so far, though what that means is anybody's guess really, because the same people saying that he's doing a very good job are the boneheaded bellends that thought Ballbag Johnson was doing a good job. He at least had the decency to resign over the Chris Pincher scandal though. But he also went on record publicly saying he fully supported equal marriage, and then in private he voted against it. So I'm not sure what's going on there. He's also voted against closer relations with the EU over 40 times since he was elected. The people that we share a huge amount of our military history with and our current defence plans with. Fuck's sake. I'm going to have to end on this one, or I'll be here all night. believe it or not, Priti Patel isn't the only new shadow cabinet appointment that has been sacked for past improprieties. Robert Jenrick has been appointed as Justice Secretary. Now, Robert has proven himself to be capable of repeatedly lying to the public and totally happy to subvert the law for his own gain. So, excellent choice for Justice Secretary. He's the wanker that continually bangs on about leaving the ECHR at the moment. But unlike most of the Tory and Reform knobheads that agree with him, he actually knows what it is and what the letters stand for, and yet still wants to leave. That isn't something somebody with any good intentions for the people of the UK could possibly want, is it? Jesus. Thank you for watching if you've gotten this far. That isn't the whole cabinet, of course. There are a few other variously recognisable and utterly twatty ghosts of Tory past that have been granted positions too. Shadow Secretary for Education is inexplicably Laura Trott, and Shadow Secretary of State for the Environment is unfathomably Victoria Atkins, while Shadow Minister for Equalities is bafflingly Claire Coutinho for some reason. But we know Kemi doesn't really have a very open and altruistic view of equality already, don't we? It's not one of her strong points. How many of these will still be in office by the time of the next general election it's anybody's guess, isn't it? But I wouldn't bet on more than half. The Tories chop and change roles every time the wind blows, with apparently no regard whatsoever for whether the people they appoint have any relevant experience at all. So it really doesn't matter anyway. They're all shite. They're all Tories, aren't they? They're all smeggers, aren't they, Anne? Yeah, definitely. Anyway, if you want to support the channel, there are all the relevant links in the description box below, and the join button for memberships is below too. Margaret Abouagie from my list of patrons deserves a mention for being a member so long and actually having a name that's a little bit more difficult to spell than mine. Cheers, La. Now anyway, of course, that is not all I have to say, but it is as much of what I've got to say as I'm going to say today. Ta-ra, La. The people that share a huge amount of our military history and current defence flans, and I think we've invented a new dish. What would be in a defence flan? I don't know. Do people even eat flans anymore? Or are they just called quiches now? They're all called quiches now. Oh, nobody has a flan. It's always a broccoli and avocado quiche. Alright, so I need to do that take again, don't I?